Hello, Jason Pfeffer. I'd like to make an offer on the vacant land you have near the new Dairy Queen on Malabar Road. I'm used to looking at your listings as inspiration for finished product of vacant land like this. I'm the vacant land guy on the other side, figuring out properties, get them all turned into triple net properties that you can go sell later on. So I love looking at your listings and the different data that you put out there. I've talked to you over time on numerous different listings. My name's Luke Smith, and I love working on vacant land and real estate projects. This one came across my table because I was looking for a location for another brand that I'm working with in Florida. I was looking at the traffic, I was looking at the size, I was looking at the neighbors, looking at what's going on in the area, who's there, who's not there, and the data levels of who's doing business, how much business they're doing in the area. And I saw this property, and I thought this would fit really well for a specific tenant that I'm working with in Florida on some other properties. So I've been researching it some more. This one's been on my desk for over a week, and I keep kicking it back and forth, looking at it in one way or another. And I got up this morning. I said, okay, I got to make the offer. Here we go. And so here's my offer. I would like some time as a part of this offer to talk to the tenant that I believe goes here. I would like to offer them the finance to build their building to make it happen. I'd like to offer them the data that I've put together on the business case of how much business they should do here. I think this will make a really top-notch location for them and cut the line in their development portfolio for other properties. Because of that, I'm making this offer. But a part of this offer is I'm asking for some time. I'm asking for some time to talk to this tenant, to work with this tenant, and also reach out to a bunch of other tenants that I work with just in case and as a counter bid and a counter backup. But specifically this tenant, I believe is the one that'll go for it. And I'd like to market others as well and go make this happen. As soon as I have it figured out with one of those, I'd like to come back to you and close as fast as I can on this property. My name's Luke Smith, and I buy and sell properties all across the country. I started out buying crazy low dollar desert squares in the middle of nowhere and taking those properties and figuring them out, marketing them on the internet, lots of different ways, finding buyers for them, finding people that love those properties and selling them. I bought properties, sold properties all across the country, lots of different. I started with buying properties in the deserts, smaller properties that were really cheap because that's what I could afford, and marketing them on the internet. I would sell them in lots of different ways to lots of different people and figure the properties out. I'd go back for more. I'd buy more properties. I usually buy the properties by sending out letters in the mail and making people cash offers. Some people would get back to me and sell me those properties, and they'd say, Luke, you got to buy these ones too, and those ones, and those ones. They get portfolios of properties. I worked my way up into bigger dollar properties that were closer to town, properties that were closer to people, that were closer to the action, that had more going on. I've worked my way up more and more along the way, and some of those portfolios had high traffic retail properties. High traffic retail properties were a different animal altogether. I didn't know how to sell those things. I tried, but they were a lot easier once I started finding tenants for those properties. Instead of a house goes here kinds of properties, there a business goes here. What business? What kind of business? What's the best fit? And I'm a data guy. I love studying data. Data speaks to me. That's my language. And so I started getting into the high traffic retail properties because I could study the traffic. I could study not just the traffic of people going by, but the traffic of how much business was happening in the shops near those shops. I could look at the cash register receipts in some data sets that I bought. I could look at the cell phone tracking of how many people are going to those shops and other data sets that I got and start putting them together and start looking at lots of the different shops and not just of that market, but compared to the other markets and other markets compared to lots of other markets. And what happens when you have these co-tenants next to those co-tenants? And what happens when these ones are missing and those ones are added? And data like that just ripples and compounds and stacks on top of each other. And it starts to tell a story. It starts to tell a story of who goes here, who's missing, and how much I can charge them rent. And when I can see that, I can pitch that case to who goes here, and I can pitch them how much rent they can pay and how much business they will do on that property based on the synthetic business case scenario of them going into that shop that I put together for them. So if you're interested in that kind of data and figuring out properties and who goes into these properties, and you're speaking my language, feel free to take a look at the link that's in the description below in this video. It'll take you back to my community. We've got a bunch of like-minded people talking about these kinds of properties. We're going back and forth, asking and sharing different tenants, different strategies, different ways of finding tenants, putting tenants into vacant land or vacant buildings on properties a lot like this. I do live sessions pretty regularly on there. Feel free to sign up. And you don't even have to sign up. Just look at the calendar and show up to some of those live sessions. I'd love to have your questions, comments, and get you involved in the communications and discussions we're having about these properties. I learn from your questions. I try to teach and share. And as I teach and share what I know and what I've learned, other people come in with awesome questions that expand my understanding of these deals too. I get to go research them, figure them out. I probably know somebody to ask who could figure them out and try to answer their questions, but I learn a lot doing that as well. So if you're interested in that, hit that link in the description below. And if you're interested in financing these kinds of properties, buying them, owning them, I've got some that I'm fixing up that are in the pipeline that are almost ready that maybe I could hand off to you, or maybe you want to invest along with me, and we could figure that out as well. Feel free to look up my contact information on my website. It's ruralvacantland.com. It's my phone number, my email. You can reach out to me directly. This one, I've got proof of funds ready to go, ready to pay for this property. I don't need funding for this property. So if you're that person, if you're interested, please let me know as well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. This is Luke Smith, ruralvacantland.com. See you in the next one.